At this very moment, in a system far from here, the New Republic lies to the galaxy. All remaining systems will bow to the First Order.
Hello,
And welcome.
to All Remaining Systems. This is a Star Wars podcast. I'm Michael.
And I'm Matthew.
And I'm Brooke.
This is
Can I
our
do that?
yeah. I was hoping you would.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would have to
Well,
make
well,
more
yeah,
strenuous efforts.
We'd have to be like guests and all this stuff.
Okay.
And,
See,
yeah,
you took initiative.
Thank
You're
you.
hired.
Taking control.
It's good.
This is my podcast now.
Whoa. We don't do that here.
Hey, General Pride, calm down. Was General Pride technically? Spoiler alert. This is a full spoiler review. Don't watch if you haven't, or don't listen. Whatever. Okay.
You've been warned, sort of.
So was General Pride technically Supreme Leader for half an hour then?
He was. He had good control.
Do they know what happened to Kylo Ren though? Like, did they just Kylo Ren's been MIA for an hour? Okay, I'm in charge.
I think that's standard protocol.
That's why Snoke never left
If
his
Kylo
throne.
Ren, yes, exactly. Because
It's kind of like when your teacher's late for class and you're like, oh, and they're gone 15 minutes.
Yeah.
They're gonna
it's
leave.
complete chaos.
Yeah.
That's why Snoke never left, because they have horrible anxiety issues.
Exactly.
They're like, ooh, is he gone? Okay, my turn. And then next thing you know, they start destroying star systems.
So we saw the Rise of Skywalker. I almost said The Last Jedi. We also saw that. But
And the last Sith.
Yep. Okay, so first of all, let's talk just general thoughts before we get into specifics. Brooke, why don't you start us off? What are your general thoughts?
Ooh, I liked it. I thought it was cool. I like that it shocked me. That was fun. Because, especially for, from the first one of the last three. That's confusing. But, there's been a lot of discussion and debate, who is Rey and, all of this and that. And it was just cool, oh, well, I don't remember this being in discussion. So that was cool. I liked it. It was fun. And I like C-3PO and all the
Little alien boys.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Matt?
Okay, so I liked it. I thought it was very fan servicey, but it is to be expected. I'd have to agree. I really loved C-3PO in this film. It was quite humorous, and that was kind of like his main role in the original trilogy, was to be humorous. Mm-hmm. So I think he really fulfilled that particular role, and you could tell they weren't ready to really kill off.
Yeah, 3PO's memories.
Yeah, they weren't really ready to kill off original trilogy members besides
Besides most of them.
Right. Besides most of them. But the thing is, you see all of them again.
True.
With Han Solo coming back, and I'm getting a little ahead, but overall I thought it was a good Star Wars film. It was definitely an ambitious one. A lot of Force abilities we haven't seen on screen.
Ooh, that's a good word.
Okay. Boy, I hate to be the party pooper.
Oh no, we were looking at you the entire time. Every few seconds we'd be like, ooh, Michael's gonna hate this one.
Matt got a few bad looks from me as he's some early on, some later on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of aliens in there I wanted to pet, but go ahead.
I liked about half the movie, and not the first half of the movie or the second half of the movie. There were parts intermixed that I liked that probably add up to about 50%. And there's a lot of stuff I didn't like. I feel like whether or not you love this movie is going to depend on your thoughts on The Last Jedi. I feel like if you loved The Last Jedi, you will have some strong negative opinions towards several of the decisions in this film. And I feel like if you hated The Last Jedi, you will see this as a step in the right direction. I loved The Last Jedi. It's my second favorite Star Wars film. It's only gotten better with every viewing for me. And I feel like this movie backtracked on a lot of the new, bold decisions that The Last Jedi opened up. And the Rise of Skywalker closed those doors, took several steps back, and then spun around in a crazy circle. That's my analogy I'm going for, apparently. I don't know. I didn't think it through.
Well,
just think
it's very vibrant. Very vibrant opinion. You were saying?
I was just going to say, I think it's beautiful that your favorite viewing of The Last Jedi up to this point was with us.
We had a whole marathon of the movies leading up to this, as is tradition now with new episodes. So let's go with best moment, worst moment, and then we'll just scattershot whatever we feel like talking about. So I guess we'll start with Brooke again. Brooke, best moment, worst moment.
Ooh, I liked being surprised a lot. I think my best moment, though, like, off the top of my head was when, like, Hux turned out to be the spy. I really liked that one. Because I didn't like him at all other ones. He just reminded me of that kid in class. It's always like, you know what I'm talking about?
He's that guy.
He's that kid.
Skylar.
Yeah, he's the Skylar. If you know a Skylar, he's probably the same way. So, you get this. Yeah.
We love you, Skylar.
But then...
Some of us.
Yeah, and he like takes the blaster. He's like, no, I want to do it. And he shoots him all. He's like, I'm the spy. And it was just like
That was a big laugh.
I like
Our crowd
that.
really liked that. Worst moment then. If there's one in particular that stands out to you.
I have to think about it. Probably. I don't know if it's the worst moment. It's off the top of my head. It's not a worst moment, but just like a.
You can just
thing
do a
that
worst
they
thing.
put.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause I kind of liked the character they were developing with Pink Boba Fett.
Zori Bliss.
Yeah.
Pink Boba Fett.
Yeah. I thought she was gonna be like.
Isn't that
Sabine?
Oh, there's more.
Hey,
Watch Rebels.
they're practically the same character.
No,
Yeah.
don't diss my girl Sabine like that.
Oh, I was the one protecting Sabine from your wrath.
Oh,
For the first two
of,
seasons.
Speaking of shaded helmets and such, I have a question about that. Maybe I'll ask that later. I don't know.
Okay, you may want to take a note so we don't forget.
Got it. But what was it? Oh yeah, they introduced her like she was gonna be a main character, but she wasn't. Which I mean, at the same time, they didn't really need another main character. But
There were definitely a couple questionable introductions, which is not a reflection on their characters, just a question about story structure and other stuff. Okay.
yeah, I agree.
Matt, best moment, or best thing, worst thing. Don't restrict it to a moment if you don't want to.
Okay. So, best thing, I liked a lot of the new creatures. This film felt like a more traditional, full Star Wars universe.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, with
If you need notes, feel free to use my phone.
when I first saw the Force Awakens, I felt like yes, there's a lot of new, but I kind of missed a lot of the old.
Mm-hmm.
But some of these designs, they were still new designs of creatures, but they felt a bit familiar. Like this would be a Star Wars thing. Like when they introduced the serpent, at least they, in my opinion, it's not like another Rathtar.
Yes, I was actually going to say exactly that. Was that there was some designs in Force Awakens and Last Jedi where I'm like, that's not too Star Warsy. The Rathtar is one of them. Like Borgullet in Rogue One's another good example.
Mm-hmm.
This, I definitely agree. This was very Star Warsy in design.
And
those are outliers, like I said. But
Frick.
Babu Frick.
Yeah,
Oh.
Babu Frick.
That's a name.
Yes,
It's
that's
also a
name.
medal.
It's also a medal
I
and
just
stuff.
thought you were like forgot a name.
It's also a light.
Frick. Babu Frick.
It's literally a lightsaber-proof medal in Star Wars.
I like him.
A powerful.
He's fun.
Babu Frick is quite.
He's
good.
very minor, but I like it.
Oh, he was the.
He was the cute little
Okay,
alien dude that was messing with
the droid
C-3PO's head.
Yeah.
Smith or whatever.
So, I like seeing some of these abilities because, like, a lot of these Force abilities, like the Force healing.
Yes.
I didn't think Palpatine was actually going to be in this movie,
Neither did I.
but when he used that big Force lightning, I thought it was a little silly, but it makes sense because in the expanded universe, he was able to do such Force storms. What I had a problem with was at the last minute, all of those ships coming in, and it was like
It was a little sudden. Like I understand.
and I'm trying to believe. How did Lando get all of them together? How did they all navigate through those?
Yeah.
Through the.
How did they acquire ships first of all? Because isn't that one of the big plot points in this movie is now they have a new big fleet.
Yeah, and they kind of made it seem like, oh, these are just all the galactic people rising up. But yeah, and with the Star Wars past movies, they all have problems with getting a ship. I mean, Han Solo.
Exactly.
You know? And then Lando's like, hey, I have all these friends. And
Isn't that the plot of The Phantom Menace, is we can't get a ship to work?
Yeah.
Like...
And then even within, like, the galaxy or, different planets and stuff, I feel like they'd have different, like, political ideologies, maybe.
And people who wanted to be neutral and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, like DJ.
Don't join.
Don't join.
Because they make it seem like, oh, everybody wants to just fight the Sith, but in reality, I don't know.
And another question I have is, what made them come with Lando now versus what happened on Crate? I feel like the difference should have been the legend of Luke Skywalker inspiring people. But that does not play an element in this movie at all.
No.
It wasn't very inspiring, was it?
And...
I expected Luke Skywalker to come back as a Force ghost. I did like that flashback of Luke and Leia training together. That was really nice.
That looked cool.
Again, mixed feelings, but I'll get to that when I get to it.
See, I like them explaining that Leia did have some Jedi training. That was really nice. So then, like, that scene where Leia just grabs on... So when Leia grabs onto the ship with the Force and pulls herself in...
Yes.
Because people were like, oh, she has no training.
Not that matters, but
No.
We talked about this a little bit before we started recording, how it feels like a lot of this movie was meant to directly counteract Backlash to The Last Jedi. But
Right. In fact, I think they did completely undo everything that they established.
At the very least, most of it.
Now,
have you said worst thing, or was that the fleet?
So, I want to say there's something bigger than the fleet one, because logically, I'm trying to think of the logistics of navigating all those ships through all of those like black holes and everything, and that just seems like things would crash.
That's the thing. Most of the fleet did crash. That was only a very small amount that survived.
It was just a traffic jam. That's why they all were dying. It didn't have anything to do with it.
There were some people who showed up late. Like, oh, dang it, we missed everything.
Yeah. Although, I gotta say, it was kind of fun watching them, and like you see just random ones popping up at the zoom. What do you call it?
Hyperspace.
Yes. I know these words. I
The
promise.
zoom.
We marathoned all the movies.
Intergalactic zoom. I like it. You said you had a problem with this. The planet killers just attached to every ship.
Because it's
a major jump.
Why did it even need to happen? You could have just had these be a bunch of ships, and the plot would change not at all.
No. You see, I would have been fine with if that cannon just destroyed like maybe a quarter of that
or
planet.
Or a city, or something.
Yeah, just something that had like, it had devastating firepower, but didn't annihilate an entire planet.
Yeah.
But
or like to reference Coach War, something like the Sith fleet does in that game, where they quote unquote destroy a planet. It's just a big orbital bombardment on terrorists.
Yeah,
you know?
That would work.
And they say it technically destroyed the planet. It didn't. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess for my best thing, worst thing, best thing is the scene between Ben Solo and Han Solo. Because that's one of my favorite scenes in The Force Awakens, and I think this was a beautiful mirror to that, and I feel like that was the right way to do Kylo's redemption. And as for my worst thing, Rey Palpatine. So shall we just start there with...
Yeah, Rey Palpatine. So do you hate it because of everyone on the internet now is right?
Well, here's the thing. Pre The Last Jedi, that was my theory.
Huh?
That was actually my prominent theory, where I was like, I don't know if it's true or not, but I feel like that's the thing that makes the most logical sense. And then when The Last Jedi did the I'm nobody, or my parents were nobody thing, I was like, oh, that's genius. Like, that's so much better, and it's a great way to contrast her with Kylo Ren. It's our way of undoing how much of the Star Wars franchise is about bloodlines and all this, and it's really much more inspiring to have a character come from nothing and choose to be good, you know?
Well,
That's a good point.
It's kind of trying to undo the bloodline thing too, because they're saying, hey, it doesn't matter where you come from.
Exactly, but you already had another way of doing that storyline, and then you just chopped it in half and ran over it with your own. Like,
well, there's more than one way to skin a Gundark.
Maybe he started reading some fan fiction or something and got inspired, because that bit at the
He's
end,
been reading the Jedi Prince series.
yeah, I feel like Matt was slightly more on board with it until I told him that Rey and Ken are essentially the same character.
Yeah.
Okay, now I know a little bit about this with the Triclops guy.
Triclops, yeah. The son of Palpatine in the EU.
Okay, so he's the son of Palpatine that's got like a crush on Leia.
No, that's Trioculus.
Oh, never mind. Okay,
Yeah, he's imitating.
Trioculus is the fake son of... See, we can't even talk about The Rise of Skywalker without talking about the Jedi Prince books. Trioculus was a poser who basically was a figurehead for these dudes called the Prophets of the Dark Side to control the Empire. Blah, blah, blah. He was just another dude who happened to have 3 eyes. The real son of Palpatine was a 3-eyed guy named Triclops, who was framed for being a crazy and insane murderer. And he had a child with a Jedi princess named Kendalina, and that I'm not making this up. And their child was Ken, who was a Jedi prince, and I don't know what a Jedi prince is. Don't ask.
Ken short for Kendalina too.
Yes, Kendalina too.
And then they're like, "Oh crap, it's a boy." And then the droid's like, "Already signed the document."
The droid was like, "Ooh bah,
ooh bah." Ooh bah, ooh bah, pretty do.
Okay, so goodness, Sidious,
Palpatine, Sheev, whatever you want to call him.
Okay, Sheev.
The Senate.
Yeah. So what is there like? Some sort of, there's a canon story. You were telling me. Okay. Can you elaborate? There's a bald singing woman. That
No. Okay, well, let's elaborate. There is a bald Umbaran woman, and you see her in the scene where they're at the bubble opera.
Okay.
And that was Triclops' mother. But that's not canon, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So
now who is the canon mother?
Who cares?
Me. I'm curious. I have to
We'll
know.
get a book about it.
Oh, we will.
Then he kills...
A Palpatine romantic comedy.
Oh, yeah. Then he kills both of
Come
Rey's...
forth. You will feel the full power of the dark side.
The lightning fingers. Yeah, so okay, because he kills both of Rey's parents. So that means one of them's got to be his direct descendant.
Yeah, his son, I guess, Rey's dad was Palpatine's son, who just looked like a really normal guy.
Yeah.
Not who I would expect to see as the son of old Sheev.
Yeah, you think this man that's bent on destroying people's wills and conquering planets.
Maybe his mother was just incredibly ordinary.
And then
he got most of her genes.
Yes,
she changed him.
Does Super Force skip a generation or something? Why is it the granddaughter? Why not the son? He didn't have a problem, and he's like, oh, there's a granddaughter. Oh, we must find her, and
Yeah, why not? Hey, maybe my son will finally come around.
Maybe his son was extremely incompetent.
Because obviously
he was always knocking over bookshelves.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he was like. Yes, feel your hatred. Let it flow through.
Clang, clang, clang.
Oh,
my knee.
What are you doing?
He's a Jar Jar Binks-esque character, and he's fumbling around with pit droids.
Well, I already have you on the station. I need to find something to do with you. Bring us our coffee. Lord Vader, what will you have?
And then, in the end, when he's like, oh, I didn't mean to kill you. I just wanted you to kill me, and you can take over. But did he not say, several times, kill her?
Well, we've seen that Palpatine is very manipulative.
Well, he was I think at that point he was either, I'm going to take over Kylo or I'm going to take over Rey. Either way, it'll work.
Gotcha.
And then he was like, oh, wait, better alternative. Let's suck their life force.
Yeah, that's option C.
Seems like Palpatine didn't really go in with a set game plan.
Yeah, was this his end game all along, man? Since the original trilogy? Did he... I don't understand.
Who's all the people in the stands?
Was this just his...
Were they Sith acolytes?
How did they get crews for all of these ships in the fleet? Was there a big population on Exegol? Or is there?
Did he clone all of them?
Do the Sith acolytes just breed like crazy and their descendants become?
They breed and they
wondering that
clone.
too.
Because did you notice there was clones of Snoke?
Oh, yeah,
Let's talk
questions
about
that too.
That was the first moment I turned to you with a look that said, "Bleep this," you know.
I made literally
Frick.
in that jar.
I hated that so much.
I sculpted him. It was a real romantic ghost scene with the missus.
Because here's the thing: with The Last Jedi allowed for us to say, "Oh, it doesn't really matter who Snoke is." This made me go, "No, hold on, wait a minute. Does this mean Snoke was working for Palpatine? Was he just being manipulated by Palpatine? Is Snoke just a clone of somebody? Is Snoke just an original creation? Is he an OC by Palpatine?"
And why do they have so many? Like,
Why were there Alien Resurrection Ripley-esque clones in there? Like,
see, I was wondering maybe the fleet was just a bunch of like zombies.
I mean, that was actually the original idea for the Emperor's Royal Guard, is their reanimated dead Jedi, but
Is that what Palpatine? Because I'm still kind of confused about him.
So wait. Where did all these? I know these were in the old Imperial ships, and they were just buried.
yes. So was there just a whole fleet of them, or were they built there? I think the implication is supposed to be they were built there.
Who built them?
All the people who crewed them, I guess.
The people in the stands.
Yeah.
I have so
the
many
football
questions about
It
where people
raises
are.
so many questions. And
Where'd they
there's-
get the funding?
Well, you can ask that about the First Order too, but the First Order has a more logical explanation with all the war profiteers and loyalists to the Empire, and they had 30 years, and some of it is old Imperial stuff that's just been refurnished and all this stuff. So you can make that work. There are no answers for this.
Maybe it's like, like the cult of like the Church of Scientology.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like the same thing going on.
Well, they do mention, like, are these, like, weird cultists or something? I think that was just the explanation that the First Order was given by Kylo, but that seems to be the implication of what they actually are.
They do have hoods.
They do have hoods, and they are chanting. Maybe they're just, like, wrestling fans. I don't know.
They're just like, ooh, yeah, front seats.
Yeah. And I guess they all died
Yeah.
because rocks fell. Rocks fall, everyone
And
dies.
they fell like directly on them too.
Yeah, it was very... Rey
They
killed a
missed
lot of
Rey.
people.
She's a monster.
Because she's half droid.
Rilo happened.
Raylo
Yeah.
did happen, and it made me on board for it, and then I was upset that Kylo Ren died. I do not think that should have been the ending of his story. I feel like... I don't know. I feel like having him...
Oh, imagine they're super babies.
I would have rather have him, like, help rebuild the Jedi Order as, a literal Skywalker, And I'm fine with Rey, dubbing herself Skywalker at the end. That's fine. But I feel like, I don't know, I'm not satisfied with that as a resolution for Kylo. I don't know. Maybe you guys can... Is there anything else you guys had... Any opinions you had on that? Because I'm still trying to sort... Again, this is a first impressions more than a review.
I like the little womp rat creatures on the desert planet. Their ears looked soft.
Thank you, Matt. Very
Okay.
cool.
Oh goodness. Finn. I was gonna say Effin. Finn. Okay, so
FN2187.
they seem to make a thing like, oh, he's got something to say. He hasn't gotten to say it. Did he ever say it?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay.
Presumably, I guess it was going to be that he loved Rey, but then Reylo happened, and then there was just never a good time at the conclusion of the movie.
So the point of that in the
Say
story...
what you have to say or else you get friend zoned.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that.
I'll make a note of that.
Speaking of, okay. Lando, in the end, he's talking to the one chick. And she's like...
I was so afraid they were about to do what system are you from? And they say the same system, and then they're like, wait a minute.
You're my daughter.
Yeah, I was so afraid they were going to do that.
I was hoping that he was like gonna set some moves. Be like, still got it.
I actually do like the sort of cliffhanger there, though. Like, I think that's obvious setup for a book or comic or something. I want to read or watch that. I think
Chewie finally got his medal.
Chewie did find... or was that just Han's medal?
It was a medal.
It's Chewie's medal now.
It's Chewie's medal now. He was proud of it.
He is indeed.
Yes, I'm glad he didn't die. I was about to be mad.
Yeah.
So does Lando get the Falcon back?
Oh.
Or is it Resistance property
This
now?
was his
Or does it
plan
belong to
all
Chewie?
along.
Okay, wait. I guess it would belong to Chewie based on line of succession.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Is it Resistance property? Is it Chewie's property? Or is it Lando's property?
Who does the X-Wing belong to? Who does Luke's X-Wing belong to?
I guess Rey now. I think he officially bequeathed it to her.
In his diary.
Yeah. Okay, that was another thing I wanted to bring up. The Sacred Jedi texts. I guess one of them was also Luke's journal because he was writing in it about trying to find Exegol. Because I guess we retconned he was also trying to do that and the First Jedi Temple. I guess he knew Palpatine's plan or thought about it or something.
It seems like the Jedi always go on some sort of mission like this. I don't know.
But
He felt it.
But wasn't his journey pre The Last Jedi was just to find Octo? I don't know.
He's a busy guy.
Maybe he was trying to find all the relics of the old ancient religion.
Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, I guess we can start going down this list of notes and just see where we go from there. Red Clone Troopers. Okay.
Yeah.
The Red Stormtroopers, they are officially dubbed as Sith Troopers. So I assume they were just specifically there for the Sith fleet. But again, that plays into our question of...
Where did they come from?
Where did they go? Where did you come from, Sith Troopers?
Sith Trooper Joe.
My favorite Sith Trooper.
Also,
Joe.
they weren't very Sithy. They're just troopery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of, like, really pushing the Sith in this when they were really stepping away from them the past two movies. Basically, the main way you can sum up this movie is there was no roadmap for this trilogy because every movie seems to go in a different direction.
Yeah.
And that isn't necessarily a bad thing because the original trilogy's like that too.
Fair enough.
But I feel like there are such drastic shifts in direction as to what matters and what this trilogy is about. Because the previous two movies have been going off and doing new things that have been... The Force Awakens was inspired by the old and meant to mirror the old while still being new. The Last Jedi was meant to divert away from that to just being new. This took a complete turnaround, just going straight back for the old. That's a better analogy than the one I used earlier.
Circle.
And I understand the desire to do that because of the nature of concluding the saga, not just the trilogy. But you can still move forward without just moving backwards.
That is true.
I think what it was, I think the creators were scared of the backlash from The Last Jedi.
But they shouldn't have been. They should have been
No.
steadfast in their decision. And I feel like that was the problem with bringing JJ back.
But they also wanted to hit on a bunch of EU stuff.
Elaborate.
Well, Palpatine gets resurrected. That's happened in the EU.
Yep, Dark Empire.
And then
This was not as bad as Dark Empire.
and then the Force abilities, like, these were some extreme Force abilities.
Yes.
Like, extreme. We never really see anything of that magnitude. Like, in the original, the biggest Force abilities were turning Force Ghost, lifting an X-Wing. Possibly.
Arguably Force Lightning.
Yeah, Force Lightning.
Yeah. You're right.
The Force Choke here or there, sure. And the Jedi Mind Trick. Those were the very popular ones.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the heavier something is, the harder the strain. And then when you go into the prequels, you have things like the Force running, and you get some new ones.
You get some new ones, but it's mostly the old and maybe slightly more powerful versions of the old. Right.
But in this one, they had like the Force healing, the Force lightning storms.
Very true. Yes.
Pulling. Even with the Force Awakens, when Kylo stopped the blaster bolt.
Yes.
That was extreme.
That was really cool to see in the lightsaber fight.
Force projection.
Projection, yeah.
And now we have Force teleportation.
Well, that was a little bit in The Last Jedi. That was one follow-up from The Last Jedi I did like. Because you remember in that one Force Bond scene where Kylo has the water appear on his glove?
Yes.
Yeah,
I like that was such a major part in this. Because I feel like there were a couple of cool uses of it. And then when she uses it on the lightsaber at the end to help Ben, that is awesome. I loved that.
Yeah, that was really good. I also thought it was kind of funny. Because like in the beginning... Ray's all like, yeah, I know, it sounds like I'm making excuses. They're like, yeah, we could really use you. She's like, I just got to train some more. And she's got like this super force. And like,
Yeah, there was definitely an emphasis on her training. And again, I feel like that's in response to backlash from The Last Jedi. I feel like that's the core of a lot of my problem in this movie is they let the criticism compromise their artistic vision. And I feel like that's a damn shame. Because, you know what? As much as you can say about the prequels and what Lucas did with them, Lucas did what he wanted to do.
Yeah, like special edition changes, he didn't care.
Now, okay, that's not fair necessarily. He did cut back on Jar Jar and like some of the politics stuff, but he made sure that Jar Jar winked at the camera in Attack of the Clones. He made sure that Jar Jar was responsible for the rise of the Empire, you know?
Yep.
He was like, all right, I'll listen to you, but I am going to twist the knife in your side a little bit, you know? I'm going to poke you with a stick while I do it.
And I'm going to make him wink at you.
Exactly. Jar Jar will smile as he stabs you.
Jar Jar was Snoke.
Okay. Next thing on the list. The part with Lando and that one chick. I think we talked about that. You talked about Lando and Janna at the end.
Yeah, and then I was going to ask if you guys think that that's like a gateway to a spin-off of some sort.
Probably. Everything in Star Wars is a
yeah,
gateway
it's
to
going
a
to be a
spin-off.
book. Yeah, there's going to be multiple books, multiple comics. Ooh, we can look forward to a new visual guide.
We can. And we can look forward to the comics about the rise of Kylo Ren. Because I know one dropped like yesterday. That's like immediately after the Jedi Temple. Not bombing. That's Clone Wars.
So now I guess they'll try to explain where the fleet came from and Palpatine's life support system.
I wasn't opposed to the Palpatine being every voice you've heard in your head or whatever. I think that's interesting. But again, I don't like Palpatine being Palpatine's behind it all, you know. This has
where you have the Bendu as the god of the Force. You have Sidious, Satan of the Force.
So Palpatine.
Well, Bendu was in the middle. He wasn't a good guy.
So Palpatine.
He was kind of an asshole, actually.
Did he never die?
That's your next question on this list.
Okay.
Palpatine dead body? No, what? We were trying to figure this out.
So he had a quote from Episode 3, powers of the dark side, you know, what some may consider unnatural.
Mm-hmm. And they don't call it by the name essence transfer, but they basically explain essence transfer in this. So that robot puppet of Palpatine is just a body, but not functional.
It seemed like that was his original body.
I don't think it was.
But
because here's the thing. Fall down the Death Star shaft, maybe your body's intact. Death Star explodes, it's a real stretch you're intact. Even if a lot of the wreckage did survive, you know. And how did people find him and bring him back to Exegol, Wahapa?
Now, that shaft, because he was on the tower of a Death Star, so maybe it exploded and it turned into a rocket ship. He flew all the way.
You know what? You're right. I take back my criticism. There's a trampoline at the bottom.
Yes. It was the Force.
Oh, well, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Uh,
He liked to do that in the spare
So
time.
Finn kept sensing things in the Force.
I was gonna mention that too. Was the implication supposed to be that Finn is Force sensitive? Because I don't like that.
Or was he just sensitive?
Like, I'm fine with, explaining, the Force is what, made him not want to kill civilians and help bring Rey together. The Force is known to do that, It'd be like that sometimes. But there were a few too many instances for it to be just coincidence, I think, with Finn talking about the Force, feeling the Force.
Yeah, and feeling Rey.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm glad you brought it up, though, because I
Also,
would've
Force
forgotten.
CPR. So I guess...
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot about, using your life force to bring people, or to heal people, or whatever. I think that's part of my problem with... I just wish that... I don't know. I feel like I have a problem with Rey being like I sacrificed myself. I gave everything I had, and then Kylo resurrects her to give himself up. I don't know. I just don't like it.
No,
They
I
don't
gave
like to keep people dead in this movie.
I gave everything. I'm the sacrifice. Dies. Kylo Ren's like, nope, we can't have a woman do that. A woman martyr? Never.
Whoa, so all the Skywalkers are dead.
Mm-hmm.
No more. Wow, so does
Well,
that
no,
kind
Rey
of...
Skywalker.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But not
Okay.
blood.
So I guess, does that mean Sidious kind of wins in a way? Because he kind of said that at the end, like,
Kind of.
so the Skywalkers go
Yeah.
down or something, and they did.
Which, for a movie... Okay, was it just me, or did ultimately Kylo Ren not do a whole lot in this movie?
Yeah, he really did.
He found the planet.
He found Exegol. He is ultimately usurped as leader of the First Order, and isn't even the main dark side bad guy, which Last Jedi set up.
Well, what more does he really need to do?
Be the central villain in this movie?
Palpatine was the central villain.
Matt, I'm deducting 20 points from your score.
Wow,
It's
that
all right, I
never
have-
gets points deducted.
I know, I had like 60 million saved up.
We had a running joke during our marathon, to clarify for our listeners. We had a running joke that I would keep asking trivia questions, and no matter who answered it, I would give Matt points for it.
And deduct points from me.
And I deducted points from Kirk, too.
Okay.
But
But
that's
not as much as
10 points
me.
for questioning my authority.
See how
Matt, you
I'm
get your
treated.
points back.
Yay!
Is this the patriarchy?
Yes. This is men's Star Wars.
This is minced. This was very kind of a macho-y Star Wars film because it was like, look at the biggest fleet ever. Look at these planet-destroying fleet. Look at the even bigger fleet that came in. Look at the Force lightning. It could take everything out. It's like, it was a lot.
Yeah.
You guys ever seen the movie Grease?
No.
Well, there's a song in there about the car, and it's named Grease Lightning. So every time you say Force Lightning, I'm thinking.
Oh, Grease. I
Force
thought you said
Lightning?
Grace, and I was like, I don't think I've seen a movie called Grace. But Grease I've seen parts of.
Yeah. So I have like Force Lightning. Like. That's what's been going in my head.
Okay. Next thing on the list is Leia training, which is something I wanted to bring up. We do get confirmed that Leia got Jedi training from Luke.
And then it was like,
Again.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not feeling it.
Again, likely as a result of backlash to Leia pulling herself back to the ship in The Last Jedi, which, again, I don't have a problem with because the Force is known to come with people in times of need. It's happened throughout all of Star Wars, blah, 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 but again...
I feel as though it just makes sense because she knows
it makes
that
sense.
she's Luke's sister, so she's like, hey, I must have the Force. I want to learn about it.
My problem is after that is she gives up on her Jedi training because she somehow knows that she would give her life to save her son, which I guess means she sent Han Solo to die on Starkiller Base for nothing. And like,
I mean,
don't.
Well, they were
Granted,
having
their
marital
marriage
issues.
was kind of-
Yeah, it's kind of on the rocks. He kind of went to do whatever.
Maybe it had to do with legal rights to the Falcon. She wanted Chewie to have it.
And she just wanted him to come home, and he's like, "No, I'm not done smuggling. How about you take off work and
She told
babysit
Conja
little
Club
Ben?"
and the Guardian
Yeah.
Death Gang.
He was like, you know, I need to be out smuggling. And as I'm bringing home the profit, maybe you can go home and babysit Ben. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. He's like, okay, I'll send Chewie. So Chewie's just babysitting Ben, and they're both working a lot. They don't see each other. They don't have personal time. So date night becomes an issue. There's arguments that happen. Then somewhere in the arguments, Chewbacca has to take a side. He naturally takes Han because Han brings the life debt, but Chewie actually likes Leia a little more. But because of the life debt, he goes with Han, and they go out smuggling, and they end up breaking down somewhere. And,
Matt, you need to write some fan
and
fiction.
Han is loose on cash, so he had to sell the Falcon.
So anyway, as I was saying, I don't like this movie. Has a lot of revelation that this was part of a big plan all along. Like Leia knew all along. It was
Seems
foretold.
like a very convoluted plan.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of like prophecy and like we always knew it had to be this way, and I don't like that.
Prequel-esque.
It's prequel-esque. It's too generic fantasy. You know?
Yeah.
Not enough logic, sort of.
Well, I just like that these are things that happen, not these are things that were foretold to happen, and it was these people's destinies all along. Like, I feel like Star Wars is more about people forging their own destiny rather than just living the destiny that's been predetermined for them.
Oh, except for Padme and Shmi and... Yeah, they made their destiny.
Leia's lightsaber was fine, I guess.
I liked it. I thought it'd be a different color.
I did too.
So, like, she just, like, was like, eh.
The other question I had about
I shooting better.
about
Yeah.
Leia's training. Luke didn't start his training academy until he took like Ben and a dozen other students in. So did Luke just happen to train Leia before that? And was he planning on restarting the Jedi Order? Was Leia just his test student? Like, I feel like it doesn't add it in the timeline we've established.
I think it was
doesn't
mainly...
fit him well.
I think it was mainly Luke just being excited that he's not alone in this journey anymore.
Possibly, yeah.
Like, after the fall of the Empire, he's like, well, shoot, my sister is around and I can teach her the Force.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then she was like, I hate this lightsaber, and she would gift it to him at Christmas time, or Life Day time, when he sang a song. And now he had to.
Han Solo comes home, sees the lightsaber, and goes, honey, what is this?
Speaking of...
What Jedi devilry is this?
When Rey buries the two lightsabers, do you think anyone will find them?
I think they put that in there so that way down the line when they want to make more movies,
They can.
So you think there will be more movies?
I do like Rey's new lightsaber that it obviously comes from her staff.
Yeah.
I like that it's yellow. Wish it was double bladed, but whatever.
It probably is.
It was very small at the very least. Maybe it's like a Darth Xana double bladed.
Maybe it clicks onto her staff, and maybe it's a pipe.
Maybe it looked like just one end of the staff. Maybe it's or maybe it's a pipe.
That'd be really cool.
And a vape on one.
Vape marriage. Shoot, there was something I just was about to say. Go ahead and eat your Cheez-Its while I try and think.
Yes, these
Whoa,
are
Michael, branding.
Buffalo Wing. We're sponsored by them.
Hey, I'm not responsible for her actions.
We should be sponsored.
My question had, I think it had, okay, now I remember.
Okay.
It had something to do with the Sith fleet.
I'll have an answer for you.
So the final battle is mostly about the Sith fleet. We know some of the First Order's there because General Pride is there with his ship. Mm-hmm. But the First Order is still in charge of the galaxy by the end of this. Mm-hmm. And I know that, the Empire is mostly still in charge of the galaxy by the end of Return of the Jedi, but I thought we would have had a little more conclusion on the First Order Resistance conflict by the end of this. Because...
Well, they did say that they started battling across the galaxy.
Yeah, and you see the Star Destroyers
blowing up, yeah. Endor.
But it's still a little weird, though, that, you know... How did they determine how many forces to send to Exegol, you know?
Mm-hmm. I don't think they knew, so they just sent everything.
Fire everything!
I mean, it did seem like a really intimidating place.
Also, how many phone calls was that?
Mm-hmm. Lando went down his phone alphabetically, his contact list.
Ooh, can't talk.
Can't talk to Hondo.
Nope,
Burn that bridge. As Morgan, definitely no.
No, she don't like me. She don't like me.
Dead,
she don't like
dead.
She likes me, but her husband doesn't.
Yeah. Is there... I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to bring up in a first impression, because I'm sure we'll talk more about this in another podcast.
Yeah. In a podcast far, far away.
Yeah. But not a long time ago. It'll be in the future, but...
Yeah.
Whoa.
And probably in the same galaxy.
Probably, but there's always a chance.
Mm-hmm. Who knows? Anything's possible. If Palpatine survived, anything's possible.
With like 3 fingers.
Yeah. 3-finger palps. Yeah, any final words on The Rise of Skywalker?
Man. I thought it was something, but I don't remember.
My final word on it, for now, it's... Final word seems very contradictory when this is a first impression.
Only a Sith deals with absolutes.
My final thoughts on my first impression are, this is easily the weakest of the Disney films. I liked Solo more than I liked this.
I think...
Little Mermaid was stronger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of Secret of Nim 2. I don't know if that's Disney.
You know, Iron Man was my guy.
Iron Man 2 was better. No, that's not true.
I want my bird.
I want my board. I wish Palpatine... I want, in another future Star Wars thing, Ahsoka wants to get her little bird Mora, and she goes, I want my board. Yeah, this was the weakest of the sequel trilogy, the weakest of the whole Disney Star Wars verse. I was disappointed, but in some ways I almost expected to be, because The Last Jedi was so good and I liked it so much, and I had a feeling they would backtrack on a lot. They just backtracked a little bit harder on a few more different things than I thought they would. Like, I wasn't sure they'd go for the whole race parentage.
Well, at least they didn't show Earth.
The final frontier. Yeah. Overall, it was fun. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it was disappointing. And whether or not I can say I really liked it or kind of liked it or whatever, I'm going to need to see it a couple more times. Because I feel like the bad stuff's only going to get worse. That's my big fear for future rewatches. And I hate to be this pessimistic. You know, we're part of Positive Star Wars YouTubers, but I got to be honest about my feelings on this film.
Don't worry, I'll be the positive part.
So, okay. Now proceed with your final thoughts. Now that I've ruined the party. You know?
My final thoughts, I liked a lot of key moments. Like, they kind of brought back the whole nature versus machine, with the horses that stormed on top. That was really cool. That
whole ride on the Star Destroyer.
There were some really brilliant scenes. There were a couple questionable ones, but I'm sure they'll try to explain them. And that just means we're just going to get more Star Wars content. No matter what kind of hole they dig themselves in, they're going to try to explain their ways out. Mm-hmm. And that just means more Star Wars content to talk about.
Exactly. Like, ultimately, even though I am disappointed, I'm excited for what's to come.
Yeah. I really liked it. I went in with no expectations, and I thought it was fun. And there were Ewoks at the end. That's what I was going to talk about. I really liked that.
The fan service, I feel, was earned, because it's the conclusion of the saga. You got to do what you got to do. Is that it? Are we done?
Yep, I think we're done here.
So then, remember to support your local First Order. Down with you, resistance scum. Many Bothans died to bring you this podcast, and all remaining systems will bow.
To the First Order.
But not the Sith fleet. Got him.